Hello students, myself is Parminder Singh from Prab Kripa classes. Our today's topic is interview mastery, how to impress employers and stand out from the crowd. Basically, this course has been designed to explain the various interview tips for the candidates who are seeking for the job. Students in this course on interview tips can expect to learn the following. They will learn how to research the company and the role, as the questions may be asked by the interviewer about the company and what type of role he is expected to perform, whether the candidate understands the same or not. Further, the students will also understand the different type of interview questions which may be asked by the interviewer. These questions may be behavioral, situational, technical, and other type of questions. The students will also learn how to answer these questions effectively. The students will also learn what are the strategies which he should implement so that he can present himself professionally during the interview, such as dressing properly and arriving in time. The student will also learn the various techniques for building rapport with the interviewer, such as he may learn that he should use positive body language, communicating effectively, and active listening skills. The student will also learn the strategies for answering the common interview questions and how the candidate can emphasize the relevant skills and experience for the job. He will the student will also learn the tips for handling various difficult questions. The difficult questions may pertain to what are the reasons for the gaps in employment, or why he left the previous job, what are the salary expectations, etc. The student will also learn what type of strategy he should use following up after the interview, including sending thank you notes and maintaining contact with the employer. Overall, after going through this course, the student will learn a deep understanding of what to expect in the job interview and how to present themselves in the best possible manner so that the potential employer may him select for the dream job. Now, the topic before us is tips for a successful job interview. Now, we will also find the answer to the question how to prepare for the interview. The keys to a successful interview are preparation and practice. The following suggestions will help you prepare for the interview. When we are preparing for the interview, we can discuss this point in three different under three different heads. That is the steps to be taken before the interview, steps to be taken during the interview, and steps which should be taken by the candidate after the interview. Now, what the candidate should do before the interview? First point is research the company. Before appearing, when a candidate has to appear for the interview, before that he should make the research about the company. For that purpose, he can visit the company's website. When he visits the company's website, he will have the knowledge about the nature of the operations of the company, that is what type of business the company is doing. The candidate will also have the knowledge about the locations from where it operates, whether the company is national company, it operates in a single company, or it is a multinational company? What are the various products or services which are produced by it? What is the revenue of the company, and what are the profit margins which a company is earning, and what are the various accomplishments of the company in the past? Next point, for the purpose of research of the company, the candidate can also get the knowledge about the company from the various news articles which may be appearing in the newspapers, or he may also search about the company on the social media. Do not be surprised if the interviewer asks the candidate first question whether you have visited the company's website. If so, then if you have already visited the site, you can give the reply to the interviewer properly. Next point is review the job description. The candidate must review the job description properly. Job description means what is expected from the person to do if he is selected for the job. The job description is there when it normally appears in the advertisement or on the social media when an applications are invited for the job. Job description provides the candidate about the nature of the job, the responsibilities of the job. By going through the job description, the candidate can himself judge whether he fulfills the criteria, that is a job, that is the qualification or the working experience which has been demanded from the candidate. Now you can see that this is the example of job description before you, in which there is the post of a teacher, and then job summary and the various responsibilities of the teacher, like delivering effective instructions to the candidate and assessing the students on the performance of the candidates, such as exams, quizzes, projects is given. Then the qualifications which is required from the candidate is given, and then there are certain physical requirements. All these are part of the job description, in which not only qualification but also the responsibilities and physical requirements as a teacher are given. Job description is only a means to tell the candidate that what type of nature of the job is and what may be expected. It is not that the job description fully describes what a person will have to do in the job. It may be kept in mind by the candidate that the company may ask him to do other jobs as well. Next point is prepare responses to the common interview questions. During the interview, many questions are asked by the interviewer, such as the interviewer may ask the candidate, "Can you tell me a little about yourself?" Then, while giving the answer, the candidate should focus only on the relevant experience and the accomplishments, and he should relate his answer to the job for which he is applying for. Then the interviewer may also ask the candidate, "What are your strengths?" Then in that case, the candidate should highlight his strengths and skills that are relevant to the job and not which are irrelevant. Only be specific to those strengths which are relevant to the job. Then the interviewer may also ask, "What are your weaknesses?" In that case, you should be honest and specific about your weaknesses. You should tell the interviewer that what steps you are taking to improve, that you know your weaknesses and you are taking specific steps to work on those weaknesses. You should avoid vague answers like I work too hard. Acknowledge your weaknesses. Next, the interviewer may also ask you, why do you want to work for the company? Then in that response, you should tell that what are the those features of the company which appeal you the most, because of which you are applying for the job. Then the interviewer may also ask, what are your long term goals? Then in response, the candidate should have a clear idea of where you want to go in your career and how the job which for which you have applied fits into the overall plan. Next point is practice your responses. You can ask your friend, your relative, or family member to be the interviewer and ask him that they should ask you the questions and you are to give a reply. In this way, you are to practice your responses. As you know that the practice makes a man perfect, it reduces your nervousness, stress level, and it also makes you confident that if you are giving the interview, you will be able to communicate your feelings, ideas, and replies in a proper manner. Next point is plan your route and arrive early. It may be possible that you are to appear for the interview in some another city. Then you should plan whether you will be able to reach the site of the interview on only on the day when the interview is being called, whether you should go to that city one day in advance. If you are to reside there, then what will be the means of transport to reach that site? You should also keep in mind that there may be some traffic problem to reach the site. So while planning for to go for the interview site on the day of interview, you should make all the planning regarding conveyance, regarding the time how you will reach there, and all these points should be kept in mind. One more point is that when you are planning about the interview date and time, that you should arrive in time, please make sure that you arrive 10 to 15 minutes early than the prescribed time which has been given in the interview letter. If you arrive in advance about 10 to 15 minutes early, it will give you some sort of relaxation. You can use the restroom or you can calm your nerves before the interview starts. Next point is dress appropriately. You should choose appropriate dress for the interview. Make sure that your clothes are clean, neat, and fits well. It is important that when you are appearing for the interview, your dress should show that you are taking your interview very seriously. If you are not sure what type of clothes should be worn, then in that case always dress on the conservative side. Next point is bring necessary documents. It may be possible that the interview letter contains the instructions regarding the documents which you should bring along with your along with you while appearing for the interview. It is also possible that no such like instructions may be there. However, even if there are no instructions regarding the documents which you should carry, you should at least carry along with you your educational the documents pertaining to your educational qualification, the documents pertaining to your work experience, or and as well as the skills. Please keep in mind that all these documents should be organized and should be kept properly in a folder so that there is no damage or loss of any of these important documents. Please also ensure that all these documents are up to date and accurate. Next point is get plenty of rest the night before. That is, if the interview is tomorrow, today you should take appropriate night sleep. If you are feeling anxious about the interview, practice relaxation techniques such as deep breathing, meditation to help calm your mind and body. Avoid using electronic devices such as phones, tablets at least 1 hour before bedtime, as the blue light which is emitted from the electronic devices can interfere with your sleep. Make sure that your sleep environment is comfortable and conducive to the sleep, that is blocking out any noise or light that may disrupt your sleep. Next point is research the interviewer. Sometimes it may be possible for the candidate to get the knowledge about those persons who are to take the interview. If the candidate gets knowledge about those persons, the names of those persons, you can then visit the site of the company to find out who they are, what position they hold, and what type of job allocation is there. That is, what type of work do they do, what is their qualification, and according to the job nature and the working profile of the interviewer, you can judge that, you can make your own mind what type of questions you can expect from him, and you can make your. Now the topic before us is key steps for interviews to take during and after the interview. First, we will discuss the steps which should be taken by the candidate during the interview. First point is first impression. Whenever you meet someone for the first time, it is the first impression. First impression is formed very quickly and typically within the 7 to 10 seconds of meeting someone. So it means that when you are appearing for the interview, you have very less time to impress the prospective employer. You can create positive first impression on the prospective employer by maintaining good eye contact, by a warm smile, dressing appropriately, and going to the interview in time, and having good posture, and introducing yourself to the interviewer in a confident manner. Next point is speak clearly. Do not mumble. Mumble means to speak in a low or barely audible voice, or to say something quickly or hesitantly. When you speak very quickly or speak in a low voice, the interviewer may not understand what you are saying. So, never mumble during the interview. Mumbling conveys a lack of confidence. It is also often seen as a sign of poor communication skills. Always speak with confidence. Third point is body language. Here are few examples of positive body language. When you are appearing for the interview, sit straight. Then nod your head can indicate that you are listening attentively and you understand what the interviewer is saying to you. Nodding means moving your head up and down or in this way. Then you are to use appropriate hand gestures during the interview. It emphasizes your points and conveys confidence. Next point is never slouch. Slouch means to stand, move, or sit in a lazy or dropping way. Dropping way means to bend your shoulders downward. So, whenever you are appearing for the interview, you are to sit or stand straight, and you are to also keep your shoulders straight. By using positive body language, you can improve your chances of success in the interview. Next point is active listening. Active listening means you are to listen attentively to the interviewer what he is saying to you. If he is asking you some question, you should give proper attention to his questions so that you can give proper reply to the questions. If you listen to the interviewer carefully, it also shows that you are giving proper respect to the interviewer. If you do not understand the question, then you can ask the interviewer for clarification. It does not mean that if you will ask the question for clarification, the interviewer will mind it. He will rather realize that you are more interested in giving a proper reply to the question. By listening carefully before answering, you can demonstrate that you are very thoughtful and attentive. Next point is give brief answers. Whenever the interviewer is asking you questions, you are to give complete reply. But it does not mean that you should give a lengthy reply. You should give the reply in a very concise manner. Be brief and to the point. If you go on providing unnecessary details during the answers, it will annoy the interviewer. So do not ramble during the interview. Next point is comments about the previous employers. Sometimes the interviewer may ask you questions about your previous employers, and if during the interview you give negative comments about the previous employer, it may give a sign that you are not good in maintaining social connections, or you have negative thoughts in your mind. It may also mean to the interviewer that you may create a negativity if you are selected for the job. So whenever a person, the interviewer asks you questions about your previous employer, you should only tell that what are those skills or what type of experience you gained during the previous employees. Be positive. Never say anything negative about the previous employer. Negativity can harm your chances of getting the job. No matter how much you may have disliked the previous employer, do not say anything negative about the previous employer. Next point is look for something in common. Whenever you are appearing for the interview, you can see around the interview room and you can see that there is some certificate or some photograph which is hanging on the wall of the interview room. Then after going through that, you can say that I have also studied in the particular school, or I have studied in the particular college. It will create a something common between you and the interviewer. There are many persons who are impressed by the fact that the candidate is having something in common with the interviewer, and it may increase of your chances of getting the job. But it does not mean that only by creating only by suggesting that there is something in common between the interviewer and the interviewee, you will get the job. There are other factors such as your qualification, your experience, and other things which the interviewer also takes into account while selecting a candidate for the job. Next point is, do not give up the interview. There may be circumstances that during the interview you come to know as a candidate that this job is not suitable for you, or you may not perform well if you have been selected for the job, or the expectations of the employer are very much on the higher side and you will not be able to meet the same. So in that circumstances, you will naturally like that you should leave the interview in the midway. Never do that. You should go through the interview in a routine manner. It you can presume or you can think that this is only a trial, or it will serve as an experience or practice for you that you are appearing for the interview. If you There may be chance that if you go on attending the interviews like this, one day you will surely get the job which is suitable for you. So you should never give up the interview, even if have you are 100% sure that you will not join the particular job. Next point is closing questions. Closing questions by the interview can leave a positive impact on the interviewer. So it is proper on the part of the candidate that he should prepare in advance some closing questions which he can ask to the interviewer. The examples of such questions may be, is there anything I can clarify about my qualifications? Or what are the next steps in the job hiring process? Or what qualities do you think are the most important for someone to succeed in his role? Or how does the company measures success in this position? Next point is, after the interview, send a thank you note. Within 24 to 40 hours after the interview, you should send a thank you note or email to the interviewer expressing your gratitude for the opportunity to interview. This can demonstrate your professionalism, enthusiasm, and appreciation for their time. There are some other points also which the candidate should note. Reflect on the interview. During the interview, what you have performed, you should think about that when the interview is over. If you judge your performance during the interview, you can pinpoint the various shortcomings which might be there in, such as in your communication skills, or what type of the you can also learn about the expectations of the interviewers, or you can also judge the various trends in the market about the qualifications which may be required in the current scenario. Next point is follow up. If you do not hear back from the interviewer within a week, you can politely follow up through a mail or a phone call to inquire about the status of your application. This demonstrates your interest in this role. Next point is continue your job search. Even if you are sure that you may get the job, you may be wrong at some point. So never leave job searching. You should continue the job search up to the point when you get the appointment letter and you join the particular job. Next point is stay positive. Do not get discouraged if you do not get the job. note that rejection or failure in the interview is a routine process. Whenever you are applying for the job, and when you already know that there is lot of unemployment in the market and there is lot of competition in the job market itself, most of the persons are likely to face rejection. So do not mind or take it to heart if you do not get selected for the job. Keep applying, keep refining your skills, and in due course you will find the right job for yourself. Now the topic before us is different types of interview questions. When you are appearing for the interview, the interviewer may ask you many types of questions. We will briefly discuss the different types of interview questions which may be asked by the interviewer to the candidate. First is case questions. Case questions are a popular way for the interviewer to assess a candidate's problem solving, analytical, and decision making skills. We will give you some examples of case questions. Suppose the interviewer may ask you that the company is experiencing decline in the sales in a particular market. What steps would you suggest to address this issue? Another example may be, imagine that a new product has been launched in the market, and what steps would you suggest for the marketing campaign for the new product? Another example of the case question may be that a company is considering an acquisition. How would you analyze the financials of the target company, and how you evaluate whether the acquisition is a good investment or not? Another example of case question may be that a manufacturing company is experiencing quality issues. How would you identify the root cause and implement a solution? Case questions will depend on the industry, the role, and the company, but generally, the candidate is required to think creatively and logically to solve a problem and make a decision. It must be noted that while giving answer to the case questions, the candidate should remain calm and organized so that he can give proper reply to the case questions. Next type of questions which may be asked by the interviewer may be behavioral questions. Behavioral questions means those questions that are asked by the interviewers from the candidates so that the candidate can describe his past experience or behavior. These questions are used to assess how the candidate is likely to behave in future. Some examples of behavioral questions are: can you describe a situation when you have to handle a very difficult customer and how you handled the situation? Next point is, there may be a circumstances when you have to handle a very difficult employer. How you handled the situation that time? You may be asked a behavioral question that, tell me such a time when you had to meet a tight deadline. How did you manage that deadline, and what was the outcome of that situation? The next question, which may be a behavioral question, may be, can you share an example of a time when you had to adapt yourself to the new environment, and how did you handle the transition, and what was the outcome? Next is, the interviewer may also ask you role play questions. In this The interviewer asks you questions relating to the point that you are to put yourself in some another role, and you are to describe how would you handle the particular situation. Here the role play questions example may be that suppose you are a salesperson and I am a potential customer. Try to sell me your product or service. Next may be that imagine that you are a customer service executive and there is a customer who is very quarrelsome nature. How would you handle the situation? Next point may be that you may be working as the in charge of a in a particular office and there is an employee who is upset about a recent decision taken by you. How would you handle the particular employee who is not happy with your decision? The purpose of role play questions is to get a better understanding of the problem solving skills, communication abilities of the candidate, so that the interviewer may come to the conclusion whether the candidate should be selected for the job or not. Next point is some questions are industry specific, that is they are related to the particular industry in which the particular company is working. For example, in case of the education industry, you may be asked a question, have you adapted yourself to the online learning and what strategies have you found effective in engaging students in an online environment? In the case of hospitality industry, you may be asked a question, how would you handle a difficult customer if there is a customer, and how you handled the difficult customers in the past as well, and what strategies do you use to ensure a positive customer satisfaction? In the case of finance industry, you may be asked a question, how do you stay updated in view of the continuing changes in the financial markets? Next, in case of the health industry, you may be asked, how would you ensure the confidentiality about the particulars of the patient? Next type of questions which may be asked by the interviewer are brain teasers. Brain teasers are sometimes used in the interviewers to assess a candidate's problem solving, creativity, and ability to think critically under pressure. There are certain examples of brain teasers. For example, you may be asked, you have a cake before you and you need to cut it into 8 equal pieces using only 3 cuts. How can you do it? This is an example of a brain teaser. Here you have to apply your mind. You have to relax your mind and think how you can give reply. The answer may be that you are to take the cake and you are to cut it vertically. Then you are to cut the cake into 2 halves in horizontally. Now you have 4 equal pieces before you. Now you are to keep the 4 pieces one on the top of each other, and you are to cut down these 4 pieces from the center. Now you will have 8 equal pieces before you. Next question, which may be brain teaser, may be such like that there is a snail at the bottom of 30 feet well. Every hour, the snail climbs 3 feet and then slides down 2 feet. How many hours will it take for the snail to come out of the well? Here you are to apply your mind that this snail is climbing 3 feet, but it comes back 2 feet back in each hour. It means that during 1 hour it makes the progress of only 1 feet. So it will take the snail 30 hours to come out of the well, since it needs to climb 30 feet to reach to the top. When presented with the brain teaser during an interview, take a moment, relax your mind, gather your thoughts, and ask for any clarifying questions. It is okay to vocalize your thinking as you work towards a solution. It means that you may speak something in your mind, or there may be some thinking when there you may be speaking slowly in your mouth when you are arriving at the decision to answer. Remember that the interviewer is less interested in the answer you arrive at. The interviewer is rather more interested in seeing how you approach a difficult problem. Then there may be some general questions which the interviewer may ask you. The questions may be such like that: tell me something about yourself. Why do you want to work with us? What are your long-term career goals? Explain your reason for leaving your previous job. What motivates you? What experience do you have in this field? What qualities do you think make someone successful in our industry? Why are you qualified for these positions? What questions do you have about the organization? It is important that you should make a list of general questions in advance, and you should make the practice that how to give reply to these questions. Remember to answer these questions thoughtfully and honestly. Now the topic before us is questions which should be avoided by the candidate and the candidate's response to inappropriate questions by the interviewer. So far, we have discussed the steps which should be taken by the candidate during, before, and after the interview. Now, we will discuss the questions which should be avoided by the candidate during the interview. There are certain questions which the candidates should not ask during the interview, because these types of questions may be regarded as inappropriate or unprofessional. For example, the questions such as how much time which I will get during the daytime for lunch and other activities. Next, you should not ask or avoid the questions such as how much vacation or weekly offs will be there or monthly offs will be there. You should also avoid the questions such as what will be my salary or what will be the other allied benefits which I will get if I get the job. Next, you should not ask or you should avoid the questions relating to the interviewer's age or marital status. Next, you should avoid the questions relating to the products or services offered by the company, because as a candidate, when you are giving the interview, you should have already gone through the website of the relevant company, and you should have already have the knowledge about the various types of products or services offered by the company. Next, you should also not ask, can I work from home? You should avoid the questions such as, do you check background of the candidate, or whether and how much time is normally there before a person gets promotion in the job. You should also avoid the questions such as, can I use social media during office hours? These type of questions by the candidate are seen as the questions which are related to the personal needs of the candidate and in no way are related to the betterment of the company. So you should only ask those questions which are related to the job description or which are in the benefit of the company. If you ask wrong questions or inappropriate questions, it will create a bad impression or negative impression on the prospective employer. You should only ask the questions which are thoughtful and relevant questions which show that you are interested in the company as well as in the job. Next point is your response to inappropriate questions by the interviewer. Sometimes it may happen that the interviewer may ask you inappropriate questions. Then there are many options before you. First is answer the question. You can choose to answer the question if you feel comfortable in answering the question. However, keep in mind that you are not required to disclose the personal information that is not relevant to the job. Next is you can also politely decline to answer the question. For example, if a person, that is the interviewer, asks you about the marital status, you can politely decline to answer the question saying that I can assure you that I will serve the organization in the best possible manner, but the question asked by you is not relevant for this position. Next, speak up and let the interviewer know that the question is inappropriate or uncomfortable. You can say that I am sorry, but the question raised by you makes me feel uncomfortable. Can you stick to asking me the professional or relevant questions? Next point is report the behavior. It may be also possible that after the interview you can report the management of the company or the HR head about the inappropriate behavior or the wrong questions being asked by the interviewer. Conclusion: job interviews can be nervous experience, but with the right preparation and mindset, you can increase the chances of your success. Some interviews to succeed to get the job include importance of researching the company and the position you are applying for. Next is you should make the practice of the interview questions with your family, friends, or relatives. Then you should dress appropriately. You should be mindful of your body language and communication style. You should have a positive attitude throughout the interview. You should demonstrate your qualification and experience, and you should ask only thoughtful questions. By following these tips and strategies, you can present yourself as a confident, qualified, and professional candidate, and you can increase your chances of getting your dream job. Remember that preparation is key. Stay calm and focused and do your best during the interview process so that you can get the job. Thanks for watching. If you like our course, please spare some time to give a star rating to our course.